Well, as usual, some of the more pertinent news to American citizens usually transpires during the weekend or late evening or night hours when nobody is watching. So actually this goes way back, and I'm talking about the National ID Act, which was passed into federal law in 2005. Well, this is all now coming true to fruition. So May 11th of this month is the deadline for the individual states to comply with this federal law. Now, most states have actually complied. A majority of them have signed on to this program to essentially provide driver's licenses with very pertinent information, which is then passed on to the Department of Homeland Security, presumably to make sure that everyone who has a driver's license also is an American citizen. But not only that, to verify your address and a few other details. Not too intrusive, you might think at first glance. Except that, as it turns out, states that do not comply with this federal law will be essentially blackmailed by the federal government into complying with it, because if they don't, their citizens will be very much inconvenienced when they try to travel from May 11th of this year onward via airports, or if they want to enter any kind of federal building, which includes, of course, federal courthouses. Interesting development, I might say. So there was a little article way back, that mentioned all of this, and some say it would create havoc. The Homeland Security Department warns on its website that passengers with unacceptable licenses may experience some delays at checkpoints. Travelers with passports or military IDs will avoid extra screening. 30% of Americans have passports, the State Department says. Of course, you don't really need a passport unless you want to travel internationally, but now it's coming to the point where you will have to essentially prove your identity crossing state lines within this nation as an American citizen. And if you don't have a federally approved ID, then from this point on, you will be either denied boarding on a plane, or you will be subjected to extra screening, harassment, and so on. Just some thoughts on this, because there are many countries who actually have these security measures in place, and all I can say it's just a further development towards a totalitarian form of government, when you cannot freely travel even within your own nation without showing your identity card. Many people find nothing wrong with it. I find a lot of things wrong with it, and for one thing, I grew up in Germany, and that probably has a lot to do with it. And for another thing, this is blatant blackmail from the federal government. And I don't believe the states should comply with this law. So, okay, let travelers then be inconvenienced for the next 6 months or so. So then travelers will simply not be able to board planes. Businesses will not be able to conduct their business. The entire travel industry will break down, which might actually not be a bad thing. And you will see how quickly that law is going to be changed once real economics come into play for ordinary people. So no state needs to be blackmailed into this. So okay, it's going to cause some hardships for a few people for a few months. Just don't comply with the damn thing. Don't sign up for this. I mean, it's patently ridiculous to be blackmailed like this by Homeland Security. Homeland Security, okay? Please imagine where this entire wording even came from. I mean, it's laughable that not even the governors of our individual states have enough gumption to stand up to this. Half the states have already complied with this federal ID law. The other half has essentially filed extensions, and 2 have essentially refused to comply, and good for them. I think that was South Carolina and, if I'm not mistaken, New Hampshire. I can't be sure about that. But you know, if none of these states would comply with it, we wouldn't even be in this situation today. So I'm pissed off about it. It's just, this isn't even necessary. I mean, has fear so developed even our state governments that they cannot stand up to total control of Homeland Security directed at our own citizens? It's just ridiculous. I'm sorry.